guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm revisiting an older locomotive in my collection. Not older as in when it was made, older as in I've had it for a long time. So, and it started off because a viewer and subscriber reached out to me through email and was asking about some parts about his locomotive, which was a 2352 EP-5, the cool looking Pennsylvania one, because I did a really old video a long time ago about this guy, the Lionel 2350. The New Haven EP-5. I just didn't really care about this one all that much, but when I got contacted by that viewer, I thought, hey, you know what, I'm going to revisit this one, and I'm glad I did, because as you'll find out, you know, there was a lot wrong with this, and it's going to need a lot of TLC to get it back running, but I think I'm up for the challenge this time. So today's video is going to be about rejuvenating my EP-5, guys, and what we have today here is an absolute mess. We're going to ignore all of the cosmetics of this thing, and we're just going to dig into the mechanics. So over this thing's life, because it was rough, didn't really care about it all that much, about keeping it original or what was left of its original parts. So I did a couple of modifications to it. We're going to undo those and put things back as they were. Well, first of all, the one modification I did is I was playing around putting a new horn in it because the original one was so terrible. Barely worked. Yeah, just barely worked. It was awful. Hated the thing. However, over a few years, I did pick up some tips and tricks about taking it apart, cleaning it up, and getting it working again, which I have. It still sounds sick, but at least it works. It didn't even do this before. So, we are going to reinstall the original horn, take off this mess. We're going to rewire this E-unit so that it is solid again and doesn't have this great big ball of junk at the end of it. So let's just get to that all right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up the old soldering iron and disconnect all of these wires, and then get that E-unit out of there and start on that. There we go. Clean that. Get that out of the way. And we'll kind of go over some of the other issues that I discovered about this particularly tired 2350. This thing's really twisted around in here. There we go. All right. Brush plate cover is off. Get rid of some of this excess solder here. Aside from a wire that was broken off of the terminal here on the brush plate, I found a couple of other issues with this particular locomotive. But it's missing quite a few things. First of all, it's missing a retaining clip right here. You can see the notch there. You'll see it better when I pull it out. So as you can see, this is notched out. It's supposed to have a retaining clip to keep it from doing what I just did, which is simply pulling the thing up. So that was one problem with it. The bearings are all in there. That's good. That helps. The other thing is, at the top here, it's supposed to have a washer right there. It doesn't. So we're going to have to dig through the parts bin and get one of those. When I originally got this, like I said, the horn was shot. It didn't work at all. Went through quite a few trial and errors with getting this thing repaired. Broke off a couple tabs in the process, but as you heard in the beginning, it still works fine, so we're going to put that back on. But what I want to start with right now is addressing this armature. We're going to clean it up because, as you can see, it's showing some signs of wear. Got a lot of carbon buildup on it. This motor, too, is a very common motor to a lot of other locomotives. This is the book that I use constantly when I am doing any repairs. If I have any questions or want to check any parts that are missing, or if they're the correct ones, I always go to this book. You can still pick it up on Amazon. Not sure how much it costs. Go check it out yourself. But it's definitely a good thing to have in this hobby. So here we go. Here's an exploded view of the 2028-100 motor that is used in the 2350, 2352, a lot of the NW2s, the 2322, I guess the GP7s to say it more quickly. This is it here. So this shows you all the parts that it's supposed to have. So I've got this washer, I've got this bearing, I don't have that washer. There is a washer here, as I showed you. There's the retaining clip that mine is missing. And then there is another washer and bearing set that is supposed to be on the bottom. So this locomotive is missing a lot. Far from good condition. So I know I have some of the parts, but I don't think I have everything. I'm going to look through my parts bin and see what I do have. But I'm pretty sure I'm out of luck with that bearing. The second bearing that's at the bottom, and washer. All right, so I've managed to find a couple things in the parts bin. I found an extra bearing ring, and I found another washer. So actually a couple washers here. So I can put some of this back together. If I can pick up that washer, that would be amazing. Where's my little magnet thing? There. So I did find some of the parts that I needed, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this back together properly. However, the one thing I wish I had was that retaining ring. I don't have that. I might have this clip somewhere. Let me have a go. I'm going to have a quick look here. Aha! And here we have it. So this is an old motor out of my 681 turbine, and there is the clip that I need to complete this. So we're going to carefully pop that out like so, and actually this will have all of the bits and pieces, the bearings, the washers inside of it as well. There we go. Fits in perfectly. Oh, this is going to be sweet. So, parts. Go to those accessories, the log loaders, coal dumpers, all of those things. They all have these motors in them. They're an excellent source for parts like these clips, these bearings, washers, brushes, brush springs. Excellent source for some original parts. So, there we are. We're all back together. We got that motor, the bottom half of the motor assembled. I'm going to put this off to the side so I can further take that apart and salvage more pieces off of it. Right now I'm going to attack the brush plate itself. Just clean it up a little bit. There we go. Our motor is back together. Nice and tight. Gall clips and washers in place. Throw the screws in the top and we can call this part done. So once again, this 2028-100 motor is common to a lot of other locomotives. You'll see it in, like I said, the NW2s, the GP7 or GP9, or I can't remember which GP. Maybe it's both. We'll have a look. Obviously in the 2350 and the 2352 share the same motor as well. So you got a lot of options if you want parts or you want to swap motors out there. Let's get the screw out of here that's holding this E-unit down. Just a regular flathead. You can pop this out again. I'm going to heat up the soldering gun and remove these two wires. Okay, so I got the wires off. The wire to the light broke, unfortunately. We'll have to deal with that now, but it's not that big of a deal. So let's get the chassis out of the way. Let's get our motor out of the way. And have a look at this E-unit. See, right away, I can tell this thing would need a rebuild anyways. Because if you look inside at the drum here, you can see, or maybe you can see, there's 2 fingers on the bottom and there's 4 on the top, which are more visible from this side. If you can get right in there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 along the top, and then there's 2 here. Well, this one on this side is completely bent. And it was making enough of a contact to allow this to run, but not that great of a contact. That's not what we want. So this was shot anyways. Time to rebuild it. So I'm going to slide this off here. And what I do when I'm rebuilding this stuff to keep track of the wiring is you can either replace one wire at a time or replace one wire at a time so you know which one you're replacing and where it went to on the motor, or you can rely on the schematic. So I know in this case, the motor was sitting this way. E-unit was kind of like this. The black went to this side, the green went to the middle, and the yellow would have went to here. And then the other wire that comes up from one of the 4 fingers goes to this terminal on the E-unit here. That said, let's get a pair of pliers, open this thing up, and let's start rewiring an E-unit. So there we go. There is our E-unit rebuilt, new wiring. We're good to go with this. We can start putting this back together and actually start attaching it to the motor. So it went in this way here with one single screw holding it in, and that's this one here. E-unit reinstalled. Now we have to just work the wires back over. But first, before we do that, we got to put trucks on. We've got to bolt the motor down into it. And then we can do all that. And this here, this is a grounding spring that sits something like this. This was another piece that this was missing when I got it. But I had to track it down through eBay because most locomotives of the age of this thing seem to be missing this. Lost it a long time ago. So it's a piece that you probably will have to buy. As you can see, there was its wear marks right in there. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to drop the motor into its position, like so. Put on the grounding spring, like so. And then the trucks. Done. All right. Now we can hook this back up. So this was the yellow wire that was originally broken off, and that goes right here. Hopefully we do have enough that we can... Oh yeah, we're good. So we will attach that. This red tape was the wire that went there. And this one was the one that went here. So let us put all those back together. First, before we do that, we got this cute little sock that it came with. It's kind of got the frayed edges on it, so we'll just kind of get rid of those. And we are all connected. All right. So we have power coming up from the rollers, going through the relay of the horn, which is going to connect to the E unit over here. Not a problem. Plenty of lead there. I'm not going to replace this wire with a new piece. Just going to reattach it. Connected. Now, the horn. So as I was shooting the original video for my 2350, I had a little bit of a camera malfunction, so some of the footage didn't come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recap what we already have done. We already reassembled the motor. We put all the parts back in it. We put the washers and the retaining clips and the bearings and all of that good stuff. So we have this all back together, and that's fine and solid. Then had to reattach the original horn. It just bolts in from the bottom through this hole here. There's a screw down in there, which comes up through the bottom, holds the horn in place. And then this here wire, this is the power wire coming out of the horn, and it just goes onto the relay here, and it goes onto the rear tab. So this is the last or the first terminal, depending on how you're looking at it. The one closest to this screw here. That's where the power lead goes for the horn. She's ready to go back on the track and send it around and see how well it does. So I'm going to throw the shell back on it right now, and we're going to take it over to the test track, and let's run it. All right, so we've got the Lionel EP-5 2350 all on the tracks now. So let's throw those cars on it, send it around the track, and have some fun. There we have the Lionel 2350, the New Haven EP-5, back on the tracks properly, with some new parts in the E unit, the original horn reattached, and the motor with the complete motor. Yeah, it's got its washers and its bearings and its retaining clip. It's not going to spin itself out of the shell. Not that it would have, but, you know, might as well do it right. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. It was fun revisiting this locomotive. I haven't done much with it in a very long time. It's been shelved for such a long time because, as you saw, the old bell wire that I used, the connections were all breaking, so she didn't run at all anymore. So it's really good to get this one back on the track. Happy to have you guys along for the ride with this one, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. All right, fellas, have a good one.